name's Jo and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the UK. Today I'm going to show you how I've made this card. It's a really cute little card, and it's quite sweet the way it's held together with this very big statement bow. But the way it all attaches is around the back here. So I'm going to show you how it's made. It's really simple, but it obviously looks, you know, quite nice for a nice birthday or some other occasion. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to take my base card. This is a standard C6 base card, so it measures 21 centimetres by 14.85. So I'm going to score it in the middle at 10.5, and then I also want to score this half as well. So this is scored at 5.25 and then 10.5. So I'm just going to fold it up. Now I've made those score lines, and I'm going to fold it back on itself so it's like a concertina. Okay, so that's the base of your card. So then we need to, first of all, we need to do the inside of the card. So we need a piece of Whisper White, and this measures 13.85 centimetres by 9.5 centimetres. So I'm just going to add a quick greeting in the middle of that. And the greeting I'm using today is from the Here's a Card stamp set. It's got quite a nice lot of different sort of greetings on it, so it's quite a versatile set. So I'm going to be using just Memento ink, just black ink, but you could equally use something else that coordinates with your set. Just going to stamp that into the middle, and I'm going to take my glue and just stick it into the inside of my card. Try and line it up the best you can. Okay, so that's our first piece, and then I'm going to glue a piece of DSP onto this piece. Now this measures 13.85 by 4.25 centimetres. And in my original sample, you can see that I've used this Pretty Bee paper, but you do lose most of it, which is a real shame, really. So I'm going to actually turn my paper over this time because we've got stripes on the other side. So obviously it will line up with the stripes on the top piece. So again, just adding some glue to the back of my DSP, and I just want to line it up there. And I want to try and make sure that these lines follow each other. Okay, so that's that part done. Now what we need to do is we need to punch a hole that's going to take our ribbon. So we need to fold our card in half, like so, and then I'm going to take my hole punch. But first of all, I want to measure the centre point of this card. So to do that, I'm going to line it up on my grid sheet, but you can use just a ruler and a pencil. And I'm just going to mark the centre point, which is about 7.4. It doesn't matter if it's very slightly out. And then I'm going to pop it into my punch. And I want to go in just a few millimetres into the edge. So hopefully you can see. So I've actually gone through both layers right through to the back. Okay. So now that hole's made, I can then attach my ribbon, and then we can move on to the top piece. So you're going to need a piece of ribbon that measures about 50 centimetres, something like that. You actually need a bit more than you think you might do. So I'm going to come up through the back, through the double hole, and pull it through. So I just want to make sure that this is laying flat on the back, and this is going to come over to the top there. And what I do want to do is just to make sure that my ends are roughly equal. We're going to trim these anyway, but if you can start off with them reasonably equal, that's great. Okay, so I'm just making sure it's flat on the back, flat on the front. Now I'm going to take a little piece of double-sided sticky tape. I'm using red tape just because it's what I've got to hand, but you don't necessarily need that. You can just use normal double-sided tape. And what I'm going to do is where that ribbon covers that top piece, I'm just going to pop my tape on there. You don't need to do this, but it just makes it easier when you put the top layer on. I'm just going to stick that down. There we go. All right, so that's your card essentially done at the moment. We're just going to do the top now. So I'll pop that to one side. So you're going to need 2 layers. So your base layer can be in your contrasting cardstock or whatever it is you'd like to use. And that one measures 12.85 by 8.5. And then you're going to need a whisper white layer or DSP, whatever you're decorating yours with. This one's going to measure 12.35 by 8. Okay, so I'm going to decorate my piece here. So to do this, I cut another piece of DSP that coordinates nicely with this set, and this measures 12.35 centimetres by 2 centimetres. So I'm just going to glue that onto the right hand side. Just going to make sure it's all lined up nicely. Okay, so I'm happy with that. And then I cut some decoration from the actual DSP itself. As we're currently in lockdown, we can't obviously stamp images to send to people. So it's nice that we've got some beautiful DSP that we can actually cut images from. So people can still get very involved, but not, you know, have to worry too much about the stamps. All they need is a simple greeting stamp. So what I did first, I'm just going to arrange these on here, and these are just random pieces that I've cut, as I say. I'm just going to arrange them on here, so I'm just going to glue those down. Okay, so once I've glued those down, I'm just going to trim any excess pieces that are on the bottom. And then I'm just going to stamp my greeting. Again, you can stamp this exactly where you like. I'm then actually going to glue this piece together now before I add my butterflies, my bees, just because I'm going to put them on 3D foam, so it's easier to deal with this while it's flat. Just going to glue that onto my base. Okay, and then I'm just going to bring in my base card that we had to start with, and this needs to be glued onto this part here. Now we do need to only glue half because you don't want glue being on this section here, so you can either mark it on the back with a little pencil mark if you prefer. Just make sure you're obviously marking the right side, or you can quite easily just glue it on the back. What I tend to do is just come in a bit from the halfway mark. I'm only eyeballing it, but just in a little bit, it's just sufficient so it doesn't get gluey. You don't want it. So I'm going to position it on here. Now what I want to try and do is center it to this white piece underneath here. So I'm not worrying too much about the DSP. I want it to be all lined up with that, and then this side should obviously follow on quite nicely. So now when I turn that over, I've got no glue where it shouldn't be. Now for these little bees, again, these were cut from the DSP. I'm just going to use a yellow pen, and this is a crushed curry pen, but any bee type yellow would be okay. Just going to colour in those stripes on his belly, on his back really. As I say, I'm just using 3D foam on the back of these. And I'm just going to place these wherever I want to place them. So that actually is your card made. So all you need to do now is to tie your bow. Now you can guarantee this won't go right on camera. So I'm just going to make sure my knot is tied. And I'm just going to double check that that is flat on the back, which it is, so I'm quite happy with that. And I'm using satin ribbon, which is notorious for slipping around, so you just need to tie it and just readjust it how you want it to be readjusted. I'm then just going to snip the ends so that's your bow. Now what I would probably do, I would take a match or a lighter or something just to the ends of those ribbons. Because it's satin, it has a tendency to fray, so if you just seal the ends, you'll see it will melt very slightly, and that will stop it fraying, and then it'll be good to go. So there's my card. So this is the one we made earlier. You can see just the difference with the DSP, but they're very similar. And here's one I also made using the new set that we've got in the annual catalogue coming out for the men, which I think is absolutely beautiful. And this is the new in colour, which is called Misty Moonlight, which is beautiful, and that's the coordinating ribbon that goes with it. So I hope you liked my project today, and see you again soon. Bye.